Yes, party people, we are back again. Episode 47 of Where My Killer Tape At. And I actually have a special guest for you. Again, I told y'all I was gonna hit y'all up with some guests. And I have Raine Supreme of T.R.A.P Yoga. Y'all gonna really love this one. I've been wanting to have somebody that did yoga to come on the show as an expansion of a health segment. So we're gonna do that. So ladies and gentlemen, check it out. Rock, steady. Rock, steady. Rock, rock, rock. Steady, 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 steady.
Gangsta, 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 gangsta. As for you profess it, make sure the science is applied with that who, what, where, when. Sometimes
I pull up, hop out, arrow, made it look sexy. They won't take me out my element. Nah, take me out my element.
For this week's episode, number 47, I'm sipping on Stella Rosa Moscato d'Asti. Not a big fan of Moscato because it's kind of too sweet for me, but this one is just right, man. It bubbles just right. So if you want to impress somebody, particularly a young woman, you might want to use this one. It doesn't have as much kick as what I'm used to, but it's semi-sweet. I think that makes it pretty good right there. And it has a little bubbly in it, but it's not champagne. Or peace, ladies and gentlemen, party people. This is episode 47 of Where My Killer Tape At. And I have another guest for you, just like I promised. And this is the homie Raine. She is a yogi, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. So she's someone that I follow on Instagram. If you're not following her on Instagram, and we'll give you all the details at the end of the show. And it'll also be in our show notes. But if you're not following her, then we're gonna have some problems. So how you doing? Peace.
Yeah, what's up? Please.
Hanging in there. And I just want to say real quick, just full disclosure, the way I found you on Instagram, one of my old mentees, he's a former student of mine. Oh my God, he drove me crazy. He drove me mad. He's from Cleveland, and I think we were following him, and I saw you on there, and I think I liked one of your comments, and then I went on your page, and I just started following you, and that's how I got to know you. So his name, I don't want to put his name out there, but
I know.
he used to get on my nerves. I remember taking him as a mentee. Like, he came to me and he asked me, and I was like, all right, cool. And then it was like, why am I doing this? Every time I put my neck out for him, I got in trouble for him many times. And I was just like, dude. And I thought I was rid of him, but then, how social media works. So just wanted full disclosure on that.
Oh, no problem. That's cool though.
And he's a work in progress. So,
yep.
He's somebody that I'm working on, but and I have a lot of mentees and students that are like that just, they work my nerves, but I stick with them. So, we're gonna go ahead and start the show. So what I want to do is I want to ask you, why yoga? Of all the things you can try, why did you try yoga?
Why yoga? It's crazy because that's a question that you always get. It started off by accident. I used to do gymnastics when I was real young. And so as I got older, fell out of a lot of things, went into basketball and became an adult. And I saw a pose on Instagram and I was like, that's a back bend. I can do that. I want to try it. And it was just me trying to try a pose. And I tried to get into it and almost broke my damn neck.
Oh, wow.
Laughing at me. And so we started stretching. And at the time I was working at the YMCA and they had classes that were for free for our employees. So I started taking a couple and went to this thing called Believe in Cleveland. And it's an outdoor yoga event with one of the big yoga studios out here. And they do it at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they get like 2,000 people outside doing yoga. So that was the first time doing yoga. It was a powerful event too. It was just like so much dope energy out there. But then you look around and I was the only black face that I could recognize. And I brought like 4 other girls with me, but there was nobody else. So after that, it was like, you know what? I want to really get into this. I want to get into this from the community aspect. I want to find spaces that I feel more comfortable in. So yoga, once I started the physical part of it, just for the pose aspect, I started falling into the more mental aspect of it. And it really started opening a lot of doors for me mentally because I was going through a whole lot of shit at the time. And so then it just kind of pretty much saved my life after that. So it became something that was real superficial at first. And then it became something I wanted to connect to other people. And then I really found my space in connecting with, you know, as a self journey, the whole point of the yoga. So kind of evolved over the last 3 years, which is great.
And I want to talk about that part because I know it sounds like you first tried it. Did you ever imagine yourself teaching it? And then if you did or you did not, why did you decide to teach it?
Oh, I wanted to teach after that first class, after that first public event. Sounds crazy. Like I was barely into yoga at that time, but at that moment I was like, I want to teach. I want to bring a bunch of people with me, and I want to bring this to the community level. And I'm a teacher by nature, so I mean, I've taught middle school. I've been teaching everything from preschoolers to adult education for the last 18 years. So it's like being a teacher is something that's inherently natural. So wanting to spread the feeling that I had to other people, the teacher mode set in for me. So I wanted to teach right away. I started looking into what I needed to do to become a certified teacher. How many teacher certifications were in Cleveland, like how many of them were Black, like everything. It was very much a goal of mine to make sure that I represented for Black spaces, especially in Cleveland. It's hard to come by.
And it's wild that you said that because, like, from my experience, I used to travel to Cleveland all the time. My old capoeira school was there. And it was the same way, you know, you would go places and it would be predominantly white, if not all white. And, and that really bothered me. And I know we used to teach at a yoga, studio. I want to say it was on 111th. And, you know, everybody, it was like white every day, you know, and it's something that, you know, throughout my travels, living throughout the United States, those spaces when it comes to yoga, no matter where you were, it was predominantly white. You know, the instructors were all white. So if I saw a black face, a black or brown face, I was always like, wow, that's, you know, my wife takes yoga. So when I would pick her off or pick her up or meet her, it was just like she was the only one, and maybe one of her friends. Right. Her friends. So, and I always found that, and you know, it's funny because I have a student who now teaches yoga, and when he was considering it, I was like, hey, you might want to consider teaching it because we just don't see our faces in there. Right. So that's dope that you decided to teach. And I was going to ask you that because I know when I first started following you, you were a full-time teacher in the school system in Cleveland. And then you skipped into this. Have you ever thought about, and you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, have you ever thought about going back to teaching in the school system?
Do not want to teach at all. Not in a formal way. Kind of had realized that about myself the whole time. Like did a lot of nonprofit wraparound services, anything that was alternative to education, like a support system. Because I didn't groove with what education was, especially from this standpoint of over testing and disciplinary focused, and we're focused on compliance and not actual innovation and developing kids to think and be motivated internally. So when the opportunity presented itself, it was kind of like everybody kept saying, well, you would be a great teacher, just go teach, just do it. And I kept saying, no, but I don't want to, and I'm gonna show y'all why. But I went into it like really wanting to teach, and then after that experience I was like, no, this is why I do want to teach. I do want to create curriculum and programs. I got some stuff that I want to get off the ground, but I know that I want to go more of a homeschool network, get parents involved in understanding how to navigate education from either a support network or creating a homeschool environment for themselves. So still going through the teaching route, but I don't want to teach for a school anymore.
Got you. So no, I mean that's all dope, and I think you have legitimate reasons and for leaving that part of teaching. So my question is my question really a little bit deeper with the yoga. So was that something? Because I noticed that like, and I could be wrong, and that's just me lurking. Was this something that you started thinking about when you started doing yoga, or was it something you were thinking about before yoga came along?
The education part?
Yes, ma'am.
It kind of fluctuated back and forth. I think it got stronger once I started going deeper with my yoga practice and trying to understand what I wanted out of life. And it started expanding into what that meant for the track I set my daughter on, and then just the connections that I was making was just making more sense to go this route, as opposed to trying to work within the system. I'm gonna create whatever support networks I can from the outside, and we're gonna strengthen that, and then just keep it moving.
Got you. And then what I love about you, there's a lot of things I love about you, but what really caught my attention was when you started calling it trap yoga.
Yeah.
So why trap yoga?
So that came after about a year of trying to get community folks into a yoga class. And I think I harassed my friends to the point where they stopped following me on Facebook. How you can still be somebody's friend, but don't see nothing that they post. I was always like, come to yoga. And everybody's like, don't nobody want to do no yoga, Lauren. No, chill. So I was in the car with a friend, and we were just talking, and he's like a little hip hop philosopher, and always seek to him for both a business aspect and just a mental elevation aspect. How do we get our people on the right track? And we were just talking. It was like, what if we just called it trap yoga? He was like, that'd be dope. And this was 2.5 years ago. And it was everybody loved trap music. And this is, I think Brandon Copeland out of DC did a trap yoga class. Mm-hmm. It's class to Gucci or something. So this is before it became this huge thing. But I still didn't want it to just be trap music and yoga, because there was still a disconnect for me in terms of I didn't want to just throw music out there. I still wanted to keep the true essence of what yoga was in terms of elevation, in terms of, getting people to search a little deeper. So I had my friend help me with the acronym for TRAP. So TRAP actually stands for Transcend Reality, Acquire Peace. So we get you in the door with the idea, okay, yeah, we trapping. I find lyrics that kind of seem like mantras or that seem like intention settings. I frequently will use songs to point out a yogic principle. But at the end of the day, it's still about elevation. It's still about taking you from wherever low place that you are and telling you that, you got all the tools within yourself. And especially in the hood, everybody can't take these beautiful yoga pictures, especially for a social media standpoint. Everybody's got these beautiful yoga poses next to sunset and next to the rivers and beautiful trees. And where I stay out here, it's a bando over there and, an empty lot over here. So it's gunshots and loud music. So it's not always peaceful and serene, but still trying to find that space where you can practice yoga, and it doesn't have to be this cliche, Western idea of what a yoga self-care practice is. It's literally just you, yourself, and your breath, and just stripping all away the external stuff and the stuff that kind of intimidates yoga for a lot of Black folks. I don't do a lot of Sanskrit words. I speak in real terms. I don't even say namaste out in the practice with real, recognize real, because it's the same concept. I'm just showing people everything that we even do to cope with ourselves is part of a yoga practice, and we're just flipping it and making it our own to make our space comfortable so that we can find the energy to do what we got to do mentally.
And I'm really glad you got into it. I was going to ask you about that because, again, just another thing I love about Raine is that your pictures, you do these yoga poses in places that we're not used to seeing them, right?
Right.
You're doing in abandoned lots, abandoned houses, broken down cars, there's glass on the floor. And we're so used to seeing, like you were saying, yoga poses done at places, really privileged places, right. Vacation spots, beautiful white sand beaches. We're used to seeing places that's not accessible to us, and you're doing it in spaces that we see every day when we walk outside our house.
Exactly.
And I think that's dope. But I didn't know that's what you put TRAP for.
Yeah.
The acronyms. But I'm thinking what I'm seeing is what I love. Again, another thing I love about you is that you're putting value in what is ours.
Right, right.
Because a lot of times when we practice something outside of our culture, we all kind of do this. We kind of like devalue or act condescending towards what we already have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's dope. It's just saying, hey, there's value in who we are. So we
Yeah.
make, you making these trap mantras, and I think that's dope. And I think they'll be more effective to us if we're doing it in that fashion versus than doing it in Sanskrit.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And it was like, it was so funny. Like I had a friend tell me, like, I don't trust nobody named Christine to do my yoga class. Like I don't trust her. I don't trust her. So, but in her mind, she's like, if he can't speak Sanskrit, I don't want to go to the class. And then she was like, well, unless it's your class, unless you teach it. And it was like, and that was the point. It's like, look, some people think like just because they can say, every pose in Sanskrit perfectly, it's like you missing the whole point of the practice. Like just because I can't doesn't mean that my practice isn't real. And like being confronted in different spaces with even just how free I am or choose to be in my own practice, I've come up against walls. Like I've had a teacher actually like mention to the class, like, you don't have to dance while you do your poses. Just get your arm there. It's like, why would you make that cute? Why would you tell somebody not to be free in their poses? Like, let them do them. This ain't like, unless it's like a Ashtanga class where it's very strict or whatever. But just creating a space where people could just be their authentic selves is important. And then people don't feel like they can be authentic in every space. So just giving folks that option.
True. I think, overall, I think that's probably what's intimidating to a lot of people about yoga in general. Like, they're going into a new space and they might have to be something different. And then you hear all these stories of, you get, it's like, I see it in capoeira as well. Like people feel like, well, my Jenga has to be perfect. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I don't expect it to be perfect on the first day. And then at the same time, your Jenga is going to look different from this person once you get your own Jenga. So it's kind of like try not to conform to what you see other people doing. And I think that's probably the biggest hurdle. Even in yoga, that's probably the biggest hurdle. That's why people don't go to yoga classes in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Especially with it being so visible now, like people see such complexity and they think, well, they're an advanced yogi. And it's like, well, physical advancement, yes, but somebody could do child's pose all day and be an advanced yogi from the mental aspect. So it's like, it's all in your perspective and what you're trying to take out of the practice, and just teaching people that, especially our people, because we're so quick to want to judge our lives by everybody else and gauge our success and what we're able to do by the next person and who's flossing and flexing on Instagram. So just being able to step outside of that and learn that muscle memory is important for us.
So this question is twofold. This next one is what has been the impact of your practice on you personally, and then what has been the impact on your immediate community?
Okay, yeah. So the impact on me personally is just finding that balance, being able to navigate with whatever I'm going through. My life has been super, super crazy. And so with the addition of the yoga practice, I know that navigating through the storms that I've had has become more manageable, and hasn't been easy. Wouldn't say the storms are, light or whatever, but my response to them has been different and better. And my response to life in general has. And then the community aspect of it is because I'm able to be more free with myself and accept everything that's going on and not worry about external forces, I'm able to approach my community different. And that like shines off of you. So the more people I meet, like every connection that I have is from an elevated standpoint. It is from a building of a network standpoint, and just meeting people who are trying to either find a space to elevate themselves or continue to create the space that they were already creating. It's been a beautiful thing to see little pockets of light in the community, especially where I stay off Huff in Cleveland. It's a very interesting time. This is one of the biggest areas they want to gentrify, but it has a lot of history in terms of Black resistance. The Huff riots were out here. So there's a lot of power. Then there's a lot of, devastation over here. So to see these pockets of light and just to connect that with yoga, such a simple practice. And I'm somebody who dances up and down the street all the time. I carry a big old sign that says Trap Yoga on it as self-promotion, not just of myself, but of the idea that you could just be anywhere and find peace anywhere. So it's been an interesting journey so far.
And I will say again, I lurk on your Instagram all the time. Like I remember, at a certain point before you started doing the trap yoga, at a certain point I saw that you were like really frustrated with the education system. But it seems like trap yoga put that extra, like we say, that put that battery in your back. And I see your posts are just much more hopeful, much more happier, coming from a bigger place of peace. And not saying that you weren't like that before, because you always were like a bright light on Instagram. It was just that now it seems like it's like several levels up. So
no, it's definitely a different space to be in, trying to understand and tackle this movement from a full-time aspect. Before it was letting other frustrations get to me and trying to force my way into places. And once I just let it all go, everything started to fall into place. And that's just letting that happen. It's been interesting, to say the least.
that's good. I mean, it looks interesting. And then this is a little bit more personal. And I know because I'm a father. I've been a parent for like 25 years now, and I know a lot of things I do for my community, but I also do a lot of things that I want my children to see, the impact of it and how it affects people. And so I want them to really get an understanding of why I do certain things. Is it the same with your child? Is it the same way?
Oh, yes. That was the first person that saved my life, for real. I really started the transition to the person that would become this yoga teacher. Like if you talk to somebody who knew me 15 years ago and said Raine's gonna be this yoga teacher, they'd be like, nah, don't believe you. What are you talking about? But finding the person that is who I'm transitioning into now, I had to be a mother first. And when I found out I was having a daughter, a lot of the things that I was doing had to change up. I had to really take a look at who I wanted to be and the example I wanted to set, especially to another young female. So it was like switching up everything. So introducing the yoga into my life has just been a way just to add to what it meant for me to be a mom to a daughter. So it's kind of just an evolution of everything that has been transitioning for the last 10 years.
Awesome. And I love the fact that she's with you. Like I think that for me, like that was an important aspect of parenting, that I take my children with me to these spaces and bring them around people and so they can see that positive energy, and they can see why the community work is important. And I never had to beat them over the head with it. I never had to be like,
right,
I'm going to do this. They was just like, it's for them. It's just natural for them. It's just like, I'm supposed to do these kind of things. It just makes sense. So I like that she's enjoying it and both of y'all having a good time and you're making that bond that I really love to see in parents and children. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Kudos to you too, sir.
Oh, no problem. I try. So I have a few more questions.
No, go ahead.
If you can disclose, like, what are the future plans for Trap Yoga?
Future plans for Trap Yoga, immediately, like, really close in the future is our first community healing circle, calling it It's Lit, like, definitely, like, who wants to smoke type. We wanted to sage the hood. Like, we had this festival with a community organization, and a couple of us went through the neighborhood, through the projects with a bunch of sage sticks. And it's interesting when you step out in the streets with sage. Like, some people recognize the smell. Some folks are like, ooh, what is the smell? From a good perspective. Biggest question I get is like, is that a blunt? Like, dude, wait, first of all, I'm lighting a blunt this big in the middle of the street? Okay, whatever. But for the most part, it was a curiosity, especially from the younger people. Like, they've seen it before. Some girls ask, like, are you a witch? Is this witchcraft stuff? And just to get the questions and the curiosity and just the interest peaked. And it was just like, but the energy levels stayed high. Like people were receptive to it. So I was like, I want to do this in the hood. Like I want to do this like a big type event. So a couple of us ladies talked, and we decided that we're going to go around the city, have a little smudge fest, and we have an African American garden, cultural garden. We're going to end up there with some singing bowls, meditation, and just kind of end the day after we smudge the cares away. So that's immediate. But the movement for trap yoga is just trying to do pop-ups. For right now, I do have something in the works that I don't want to share too much of, but know that I do want to push this more on an aspect to get more communities involved. Although I do love teaching and doing private sessions. For me, making money off like teaching yoga wasn't the goal. My goal was just to introduce people to a space, because in the end, like yoga is supposed to become something that you're able to do no matter where you are. So after a while, you shouldn't have to go to a yoga class, 20 times a week to get your fix. You should be able to find this space within yourself and create the space, especially if you don't have the financial means to do it like that. But I do want to introduce this idea of transcending reality, acquire peace on a more larger community scale. So I do have something big that I've got coming up in the next month or so. So I'll be ready to share more details soon.
Cool. Because I did see the Sage the Hood thing. I thought that was like, I was like, man, that is so dope. Like, why didn't nobody think about that before? Like, I've been to protests where people carry sage.
Right.
But I never seen, like, I thought that was really dope. And I wasn't even, like, I just thought the idea was dope. I didn't even think about, like, what would the people be thinking? What would the kids be thinking? And what would they be asking? And that experience you just shared with us, I think that's really dope. Like, that's such a dope moment, educational moment for the entire community. That's really, really dope. So we definitely support everything you guys are doing, you guys and gals are doing, and definitely keep us updated, because who knows, I might be able to make a trip up there for one of those events, because I just think it's a great idea.
Good. And of course I will let you know, because I'm going to need some help promoting the idea. So
okay.
I'll slide you in if it becomes available.
Yeah, definitely. And I work for an organization, and I get students from all over Ohio. I'm going to say about 50% of my students from Cleveland.
Okay.
So, and I have it's funny with those students, I have the best rapport with all my students from the land.
Yes.
And so it's always, and I always show them your stuff. I was like, check this out. And they're always blown away. So I think, again, the work that you do is amazing, and it impacts us on so many levels. So, before we get your contact information, I have some more questions to ask you. These are a little bit more personal, and they're probably outside of trap yoga. But I try to ask my guests, is there any song or songs or albums that's in constant rotation for you right now?
Constant rotation. See, I get obsessed with like some songs, and then I forget that the album actually exists, because the one song has just been on repeat. So chalk it up to, I think part of that is like the choreographer and me just hear the song and I just see it over and over and over again, and I can't stop. But actually Carter 5 right now is something that
Okay.
into over and over again. It came out the day before I was supposed to do a community show. And I was getting nervous because the homie was supposed to slide me some tracks to trap to, and I didn't get them in time. And I was like, I don't have nothing that I really want to flow to. I don't feel inspired. And then turned to, Spotify, and it was on there. And I was like, you know what? He's actually spitting exactly what trap yoga is, and the mood and the feeling that I want people to take away from it. So for me, and just in the personal aspect of it, just to hear the elevation in his voice. So
okay, that's dope. That's dope. What was the last book you read?
Last book I read, Children of Blood and Bone.
Okay, all right. I'm trying to get my book club to read it, but every time I know I should take a more dictatorial approach to my book clubbing, because I usually just put a bunch of books out, get some suggestions, and then we vote on it. And even though I try to fudge the numbers, they always for some reason don't want to read it. I know. Like my book club is about 2 people who've read it, so a lot of times they're like, "Oh, I've already read it." But I don't mind, like me personally, I don't mind rereading books that I've already read if the book club wants to do it. So, but I really want to read that one. So, but how did you like that?
I loved it. Got done with it in 2.5 days.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, it was great, but can't wait for somebody to try to hand it, creating a visual for that.
Okay. So the next question is another book question. What is a book you recommend anybody should read?
The Alchemist.
Okay, by Paulo Coelho. Okay, it's funny you mentioned that because one of my students was doing one of those writing prompts, and they asked them, "What would you get your new boss?" And I was like, "I get him that book." So, yep. So that's a dope book.
It really is. That reignited a whole lot. Put a lot back into perspective for me.
I like the fact that it's about a journey. It's like
Yes.
he traveled all over, and then he realized that everything he needed was really inside of him. It was really at home.
Exactly.
So I thought that was really dope. So I should have warned everybody about the spoiler, but anyway. If you hadn't read it by now, then and you listen, I shouldn't be elitist, but if you're listening to my show, you should have already read that. Right? So what I'm gonna ask for you now is I'm gonna ask for your contact information. What's the best way to get a hold of you? Social media wise.
Sounds good.
Good.
Let's see, I have to think. So for yoga, so the .traphouse.cle on Instagram for trap yoga. So that'll have more other events, more as it relates to the business side of trap yoga. And for the more aesthetic, personal side, Raine Supreme, RAINE .supreme. And that's the best way to get in contact with me right now. And then email for any questions, because I do private sessions, and I do distance sessions as well, in terms of even guided meditation and mindfulness training. The Queen Raine Supreme at Gmail.
Okay. And the Raine is spelled with an E at the end, right? For that Gmail?
The Raine for the Gmail is spelled like rain, as a queen Raine, REIGN. Oh my goodness. Right now.
So yeah. I got you. I got it. And again, party people, it's going to be in the show notes. So if you missed anything during the interview, it's all going to be in the show notes, so you can click on there. I know. For me, I usually just, if I'm on Instagram, I just type in Raine Supreme, and it usually comes up with the E after the N, and it usually comes right on up. So it's not like we can't find you. So definitely. And I'm gonna definitely keep in contact with you. And we're going to continue to promote you. So on the show, I'll do a couple of blurs for you, and also, of course, on Instagram, I'll repost your stuff, because again, I think you're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
And I think you won't see the fruits of your labor, or years from now, but they're going to be very big. I believe that. So.
Got to.
So any final words to our audience?
I don't even know. It's so late. I took a nap. I was like, I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning. I was like, okay, I got to get up for this interview. I was like, man, I'm so tired.
Thank you so much for doing it. I really appreciate it.
I want to shout out you, though. I want for the platform that you have created, and just for reaching out. I think that's important for us to make these connections and build with one another. People who have whatever talents and skills and sets, and use that and connect people with good light together. So I want to thank you. Shout out to you, sir.
No doubt. I just want to see people really shine, and I know that, and particularly in Ohio, gentrification is a real thing, and it's something like, this is like the third time in my life that I'm witnessing it happen to a black space. Because I went to school in Harlem, so I saw it happen in Harlem. I lived in Norfolk, Virginia. I saw it happen in Norfolk, Virginia, and I've seen it happen here. And Cleveland is some place that I've been traveling back and forth to the last 10 years, and I really love the city. It's probably another reason why I have that rapport with my students from Cleveland. I really love the city of Cleveland, and I especially love the people. I really love the people. And I think just as soon as I meet a student from Cleveland, I'm like, oh, you're from the land. It's automatic connection. So it's really wild to see that kind of oppression. It's and to see it happen just so quickly.
Right.
It's a scary thing. So I really appreciate the work you do. And the fact that, because one thing for me, one of my missions when it comes to educating young people is showing them the value that they have and the things that they have themselves.
Exactly.
Because everything else tells us that we're not valuable. So when I see you doing trap yoga, you're saying there's value in you. And I think that, if anything, that message is more important than anything. So, and I just want to see people like you elevated and, out in the mainstream, so our young people can see that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we gotta do our shout outs. First up, shout out to the Barrel House here locally in my city. They do Wu-Tang Wednesday. And yo, they have some really good drafts over there, man. They have some really dope stuff. I like how they switch it up. So I appreciate y'all for that. I love y'all. You always show me and my fam love. Shout out to DJ Ike, who spins at Wu-Tang Wednesday and also at Wright State University. And if you wanted some more information, I'm gonna try to post that sometime soon up in the next episode or two. And also shout out to the one Dr. Sheena Howard, the writer of the Encyclopedia of Black Comics. Yes, the Encyclopedia of Black Comics. Did I say that right? Encyclopedia of Black Comics. If you don't own that, you really can't call yourself a nerd. Word is born. Episode 47, people. There you have it, party people. Episode 47 of Where My Killer Tape At. I appreciate y'all for coming to listen. Here we go again with all the information you need to get a hold of me. If you want to book me for panel discussions or workshops, everything from intersectionality to hip hop culture, you can hit me up on my Gmail, which is DanTresOmi at Gmail, DanTresOmi. If you just want to hit me up on the Twitters, you can. I'm at DanTresOmi once again, or at Omi's Podcast, OMIS Podcast. Once again, we are doing a segment where we're going to need some people to ask, questions, for advice. Let me know what's up. Send it to my, Gmail, of course, but in the subject line, put ask advice. Word. So until next time, man, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Peace.
Ich sah noch